Okay, so today I am going to replace the inducer motor on my boiler. If you don't know what an inducer motor is, basically, um, as the burners kick in, it starts up a fan that shoves the exhaust, forces the exhaust basically out. That way, there's no backdraft, there's no combustibles that get in the house, that kind of a thing. The boiler's working fine, but the inducer motor on this one, on my boiler, is starting to make a little bit of a rattling noise. And so I suspect that I've got a bearing that's going out or something like that inside the fan. And I don't really want it to fail in the middle of winter. So we're going to do it now. I've never done this before. So yeah, this could get interesting. We'll see. I've got another camera set up so it's a little bit closer. But beforehand, let me show you what my boiler setup actually is. So you can see it's a Burnham PV206 boiler. Installed by the previous owner of the house. I've done some regular maintenance on it. We've had a couple of professionals come in and do a few things, but nothing big. The thing that looks like a burrito over on the side is a water heater that is actually connected to the boiler itself. And then in the background, you can see a more traditional electric water heater as a backup. But this allows me to use the boiler for water heating purposes, which is a lot cheaper than electricity. And then you can see in the background zone valves, control board, all that wonderful stuff. Grab my Mountain Dew because no project's complete without a little Mountain Dew. So the first thing is turn off the power. I already did that. That's the only thing I've done so far. Now I gotta get the boiler to come there. So looking inside the motor, basically this is what we have to get to. I have a new Inducer fan here that I bought from Supply House. No, I am not sponsored in any way. I just happen to really like Supply House. So, new inducer motor. My understanding is that it has to fit very similar to this in the cavity. So there is a plate inside that I can remove, which I'm going to start with. If that does not give me enough access, we'll have to get the cover off, which could get a little tricky because there's a screw here, and there's another screw right here, and I don't know how I'm going to get this screw out. There just isn't enough room against the wall, and it's not like the pipework's movable, so we shall see. And I'm doing this completely without manuals because, hey, why would anybody ship a manual with a replacement part that actually tells you how to do the replacement? I mean, that would make sense or something. Not that I'm bitter. Okay, screwdriver. And with any project, this is when you get out your iPhone and you start taking pictures ahead of time so that when it comes to putting things back together, you can do that. Okay, so let's get a picture of the main parts and how they connect, because I know I'm going to have to take this stuff apart. So everything from here down is pretty much solid. I can't disassemble it. However, I should be able to take these screws out, take the stuff off, and go up with it. Okay, let's start with this. Oh, and there's actually a screw missing over here, which I find interesting. So some part of me wonders if the inducer motor's already been replaced once, or when they did the initial install, they didn't give a crap, which is also incredibly possible. Because why would you care about a customer's house? I mean, I found so much stuff wrong with this house over the years that take minutes to do the right way. But professional, yeah, why would you want to do it the right way? That would make sense or something. Okay, so let's take this off. I'm going to do my best to not have to remove any wiring, because even though I've got pictures of everything, I don't want to take the risk of wiring something up wrong. Yeah, I really don't want to take the risk of wiring up something wrong. And like I said at the beginning, I have absolutely turned the power off, so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, one more. And by the way, if you happen to see something I'm doing that's wrong, let me know. I will absolutely listen to you because like I said, I'm just a homeowner. But I think I can do this job myself. If I can swap an engine in my car, this is pretty easy in comparison, as long as I can figure out exactly what to dismantle. Okay. Relays out. The sensor's out. Let's see if I can get this out of here now. There's screws. There are screws, but there are. Okay, looks like there's only screw on the other side over here. So let's take this, which of course is a pipe right where that screw is. Of course, why not? Like I said before, you wouldn't want this to be easy, would you? Come on, come on. Okay, got to disconnect this. Okay, so how am I getting this out of here? Can I get this out of here? I may have to take the top off right away. Yeah, I don't think I have a choice. I think I have to take the top off. I was really, really trying to not have to do that because there's a cutout up here on the boiler that I do have to remove in order to get the top off. But like I said, there's also that screw back there. Okay, let's get the top. Oh, crap. Taking the top off won't help either because I've got the pipe in the way. So we get to remove the exhaust pipe. One word of warning, because this has already happened to me. These pipes, when they get removed, there's little gaskets that are sitting here in all the rings of the pipes. And over time, those gaskets get brittle. I am going to hope that the gasket in this case is not brittle because these pipes were only replaced about 1.5 years ago. Because the prior ones had gotten brittle and had failed. The fun part is that these pipes, quote, can only be sold to professionals, which is a complete load of crap, and you and I know that. But hey, that's what they told me, so I got to overpay for a whole bunch of new stainless steel pipework, all so that I could buy it from someplace that would break the rules and sell it to me. Okay, so now we need to take these bolts out. Let me go get a wrench. So there's 4 bolts up here. I'm going to pull those 4 bolts out, and then that should allow me to take the exhaust piece out. I don't want to remove the one down here, the seam, because this piece, as you can see with all the wonderful red goo on it and everything else, is a very, very specialized piece, and if you screw with it at all, you can break it. And if you break it, you get to buy a new one. So I'd rather not do that. Okay. Washer and nut. I love these gear wrenches until they don't want to work right. Yeah, these look like lock nuts that have, the insides have melted somewhat, but they are original. I didn't put them there, so they're going back because I'm doing exactly the way that it was putting it back, other than a new motor. So one thing I find interesting, the old motor appears to have a ground wire hanging off of it, whereas, speaking of which, where does that wire go? Why is there a chunk of metal just laying in there? I don't like chunks of metal just laying in the inside of that. Okay, that's great. Let's see what that's for. And then, like I said, there's this ground wire that goes somewhere in there. And the new motor doesn't have it, so I got to double check that there's no issues with that. But I doubt there will be, because this is absolutely the correct replacement part. Okay, one more. My guess is they decided that the ground wire wasn't actually needed in the end, so the current versions of it don't have the ground wire. The inducer motor itself is not a cheap part. It was $400. May have been a little bit cheaper if I was in the trades, but yeah, that was a pricey part. Okay, so we're going to do this with this part, and then let's lift this guy off, setting this back down on the supports. There we go. Okay. So double check this place. Okay. Okay. And there's gasket here, which is falling apart. Yeah, I can very clearly see why they say that you have to replace the gaskets, because these things are junk. Okay. So let me see if I can get you a view of what I'm looking at on the top. So this is the top of the inducer motor where I've been working. So the way that this works is there is a fiber gasket, then there is a restrictor plate on top of the fiber gasket. On top of that is another fiber gasket, and then it's that adapter piece that goes out to the exhaust piping. Over here, you can see that I don't want to take the piping off because I don't want to have to depressurize and clear out the system. So there is a knockout right here that can be removed for that. I did find some very, very basic instructions online that said, hey, if you have to take the top off your Burnham, knock this, just basically put a screwdriver in here, pry that up, and then the top should slide off and around the pipework. So they definitely thought about that ahead of time. So I've got some wires that are just zip tied to the top of this. I got to cut that zip tie. Just a control wire. Okay, so the wire's out of the way. Okay. Now I have to remove the screws holding the top on. Like I said, if I remember right, there's 4 screws. The problem is the last one is all the way back here. So this is going to be the tricky one to get out. Hopefully I can figure out how to get that out of there. It may not go back in when I reassemble this, but yeah. Let's get the rest of them. And so far, all of the sheet metal screws have been identical, so I haven't had to worry about that. Okay, let's go around the other side. Okay, let's get that guy out of there. Okay, so that just leaves the one then. Maybe somebody makes a special 1-inch driver bit, but I don't know. There we go. It's loose. I can just turn it using the bit. Okay. So, cover comes up. Let's bend that chunk out of the way if I can figure out where the cutter is. Move the insulating fiber out of the way. Up, up. Hey, and we got the boiler open. Hey, hey. Okay, so I want to inspect the whole boiler. If there's icky stuff in there or stuff that shouldn't be, I need to clean it out. But I am not supposed to, ooh, that's melted. Well, lovely. But with that said, I have to be really careful that I don't disturb something that needs special compounds to replace. So let me move the camera so that you guys can actually see the top of the boiler. I don't have a lot of room here, so hopefully this works. So the inducer motor is the one right on the front that I got to replace. I have all the gaskets for it, so we should be fine there. The boiler core is down below. It looks like there is stuff I need to vacuum off of that. There's some wiring bits and pieces and some other things that look like they've probably just fallen into the boiler. The back's got some dirt on it, but that doesn't look too bad. And it looks like it must have gotten wet at some point right here because there's some rust on it. So again, that probably water or something got spilled on the top of it. Other than that, actually looks like it's pretty damn good shape. Yeah, so let me get the shop vac out. And this is part of doing it right, as opposed to just doing it, is spending a little bit of effort to actually keep the work area clean. I mean, this thing goes wrong in the middle of winter, it can destroy the house where I live, because we do get cold. And I really don't want a house that has no working boiler in it, because, yeah, that would be terrible. Not only is it a big insurance claim, but you never know with insurance if they're really going to accept your claims, or if they're going to say, no, 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 it's your fault. Very loud. Let me mute you guys for a second, and then I'll bring it back. Okay, so back to what I was doing. Everything's vacuumed out, it's clean. Let's get the light set back up so that you guys can actually see. Okay, this panel can now come straight up and out. Don't let me forget to put the panel back in, right? That's interesting. The panel's bent. There, now the panel's straight. Okay. Now, so there should be 4 bolts that have to come out. I'm just inspecting to see if there's anything else that I may have to do first. Okay, so that ground wire went from the motor to the fan housing. Yeah, I can see why they don't have that on the new ones. It's just not necessary because everything's connected with bolts and it's all metal to metal contact. Let's see how. Oh. 7/16 again. Yes, 7/16, and I do have to use the right part. Okay, so that part. So the new one came with new bolts. It didn't come with new washers because this one's got washers, so it will get reinstalled exactly the same order, which is, or maybe these washers are fixed. Let us see. Nope, washer's not fixed, it's just tight. So it goes washer and bolt. Easy. Okay. Next one. Next one. Hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. Let's move the camera again, give you a little better view. Okay, washer off. Down here. Yeah, that looks like it's in really good shape inside, which is great. Because this boiler is, according to the tag, 2000, October of 2000. So, almost 21-year-old boiler. I don't really want to replace the boiler. I had to replumb and do a bunch of other things a few years ago with the boiler system because there were problems with the way things were set up. The house was unevenly heated and all the rest of that, which we mostly got taken care of. So I like the boiler. I don't want to replace it. And the new ones aren't any more energy efficient than this one. Why can't I act this one loose? Come on. There it goes. Okay. Do my best to not disturb the fiberglass. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't see this one very well. Okay. Let's see. There we go. Awesome. Loose. Okay. And that one does not have a washer on it. Okay, so bottom left did not have a washer. Take it apart. Take it apart. And there is debris in there, which I'll have to clean out. Actually spins pretty freely. But there is debris in it. I wonder if that's what happened. Yeah, I guess it's not the actual motor part isn't running. Yeah, there's debris in that. It's got to get cleaned out. It's got to get cleaned out. Okay. Get the vacuum cleaner back. Now then, let's get to this in the right order, which is first the fiber gasket like this, I believe. Yes, just like this one. Awesome. Okay. New inducer motor. Okay, let's get that guy on there, on there, on there. And like I said, it came with four new nuts. Sorry. So I'm absolutely going to use the new nuts, but I will continue to put the washers back where they were because I don't want to do anything wrong. I could compromise this thing. Start it all by hand. Okay, one's tight, finger tight. Second one, finger tight. Third. Come on, stay there. Great. Great, great, great. So let us, oops, okay. Turn this by hand. So I don't know if it's necessary, but I always do a cross pattern on this type of stuff because at least in automotive applications, it seats things more evenly, which effectively means since there's 4 bolts, this one, this one, this one, then this one. And I don't all tighten them completely either, so I'll make a couple of passes. This thing wasn't overly tight to begin with, so I don't want to kill it by wrenching it as tight as I possibly can. so now we're going to do the proper sequence. Okay. That looks tight. Down here. Almost over. This one. Work on this one. Yeah, it's about tight. And since I don't have torque specs or anything like that, I am doing it tight enough that I'm not forcing it. That's good. That's good. Okay, that's good. Right here. That's good. Okay. Successful inducer motor replacement. Okay. Double check. Oh, there's actually some more stuff back here I really need to clean. Neat. Let's do that next. Vacuum cleaner time. And I know you couldn't see it, but the hose to tell if the inducer motor worked just broke. So, yeah, that's bad. That's got to get fixed before I can button it back up. So I'm going to trim a clean edge. And we're going to cross our fingers that we can get this thing back together with enough. Yeah, that's going to suck. How do I get this off? I got to pop the part off the other one and then reattach. Basically there's a little bit of a nipple in here that is for that pipe work, and that's what tells the boiler that it's okay to start the gas because the inducer motor's on. And the little pipe broke. Like I said, I'm kind of glad it broke now as opposed to after I have everything reassembled, because that's much bigger pain in the butt. It's age. It's all age, which is why it broke. Let's get that broke. Come on. Cracked. Clean it off. It's just a barbed fitting. Now comes the really fun part where I get to figure out, do I have to go buy a new hose? Because I can't reassemble this properly without a proper hose. I need to make sure I have enough hose to get to the sensor. Make sure the hose is flexible enough too. It got damaged by the heat. So let's give this a shot and see if it'll fit. What's going on there? Okay. Come on, a little bit further. Like I said, if you're gonna do it right. So I gotta make sure I did it right. Okay, that's good. Now this has to run out of here through this, and do we have enough to actually hook it to the sensor? Because if I don't, then this repair is not going to work. So this goes right here, I believe. And I have just enough Yeah, I have just enough to hook up the sensor. Got lucky. Got real lucky. Okay. Sit him down like this. First thing is the electrical wiring for the motor. We've got the induction sensor. And okay, so let's get let's make sure again this inducer is going to work, this sensor, because I really don't want to install this and find I can't. Yeah, that hose is just long enough. So let's install the sensor so that I know I can get it hooked up properly, make sure nothing breaks. Where's my screwdriver? There it is. Okay. Ah, so there is supposed to be a screw right there that isn't there. That's cute. That's cute. So once again, why bother to actually install everything? I mean, you don't need the stuff that the factory puts in because that's just a waste. Okay, so put that back into place. This is fine. Again, let's put the screw in. Boom, 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 boom. Middle screw in. So my boiler's been off all day, so the water tank's probably calling for heat, even though, like I said, it's I've got backup for the electric water heater. But this way, I know when I power this sucker up, she is going to definitely ask for heat, which is good. Okay, one more. Goes there. Okay, and this guy goes right here. Should only fit one direction, and it does. So that's the motor. Let's see here. We've got one screw on the side we need to install, and then we're ready to put the top back on. And then we have to reassemble the vent. But first, we've got to put this screw in, which is not easy to do because the angles of all the pipe work. Okay, that's good. Together, just so we take it apart. This. There we go. That's good. That's good. Let's get some more screws in. Sorry if my hair keeps coming in the frame. Okay, let's get this guy in place. Done. This one goes right here. I think if I can. There it goes. And one back there. You're back. There. Okay, that's all nice and tight. Okay, here we go. Screws back in. Okay, so now we get to reassemble everything, which is the fun part. Okay, so it's gasket, restrictor plate, gasket, then it's the flue pipe. So we have to make sure that it is in absolutely the correct order, otherwise exhaust gases can come into the house. And since this is burning house air, you can end up with carbon monoxide, which you really don't want to have happen. Yeah, that'd be bad. Okay, so we are going to prep the gasket. We've got 2 gasket materials that came with the inducing fan. Pop out those holes, pop out the center, place the gasket just gently there. I'm getting the original gasket piece, which is this. As you can see, it's shredded pretty badly, which, again, not unexpected. So, but now I have to scrape the gasket material off. Okay, so let's get this cleaned off. Probably should do this over a trash can. Okay, so the other side. Man, that's dirty. Okay, so it goes down. We've got the restrictor plate that goes down, so you can see that. Once I got the restrictor plate down, then we get the next set of gasket material down. My hands are a little dirty, so yeah, too bad. Doesn't matter. Put that down there. Let's throw that piece away. Trash. Okay, so now we have to put the flue pipe in place. I need to inspect the seals to make sure that they are in fact in good shape. And they are. Okay. Oh, there's still gasket material in this that has to be removed. I think that's good. Okay, so let's get this guy reattached. And we want our tag to be forward. And the tag basically says, hey, if you ever disassemble this, you have to do this the right way, which we have. Okay, so get this down where it belongs. Okay, this is going to come down. I'm just making sure that the pipe is actually resting on the straps like it's supposed to. Okay. So now we have to put this back together, which is 4 washers, 4 bolts on top. Or not, sorry, I keep saying bolts. Washers, washers, washers. Nuts. Okay, got that and that. Got that one. That one. Okay, wrench. And we're going to crisscross pattern it again. We're not going to be stupidly tight on this thing. I do this, I'll have to retighten this guy up here. I'll recheck these. Actually, I didn't modify this one. I'll have to recheck that just in case because the pipes got moved. Okay, reset. Done. Done. Ah, sorry, my nose. Good. Trying to make sure they're all about even, which is light finger pressure versus crank them down, because that really doesn't help anybody. Done. Okay. Now again, verify the pipe is in the correct location, so we don't have a lot of force on the pipe work. Okay. And where'd the screwdriver go? There it is. Let's double check this one. Check this one. It's all tight. Tight. You can see I'm not stupidly cranking on it either. I could do this so hard that we'd be bending pipe work, but it's just dumb to do that. Pick up the extra gasket material so it can go in the trash. Bend this flap back to where it was. We're going to get the old inducer out of the freaking way. I am probably going to keep the old inducer, scrape the gasket material off, buy a couple new gaskets, and just keep it as a spare part. Because again, if this thing goes in the middle of winter, I gotta have it working. So, okay. So this particular boiler does not require the front cover on in order to start. I am going to flip the on switch now, and I am guessing the water heater will be calling for heat right away, so it should fire pretty quickly, and then we can make sure the inducer's working. Okay, power's on, and as I said, I've got a light on my control board that says, in fact, the water heater is calling for temp. Okay, ignition. So the inducer just turned on. It's going to draw fresh air. The sensor should at some point go, okay, you've had enough fresh air, everything's working properly, and then the gas should start flowing, and then you should hear the igniter. Come on. Come on. Turn this so that it's much quieter than it was. There we go. Igniter. Okay. And we've got gas. We have ignition. Changed out the inducer motor, which is right there. Assuming I got the camera, yep. And it's running, and it is way quieter than it was before. Way quieter. So there you go. Get some light back on the situation. So yeah, so I think we're ready to put the cover back on the boiler. Okay, cover's on the boiler. Now we just get to sit here for a few minutes while things heat up and make sure that nothing goes wrong.